Lightning Network extends Bitcoin's capability by adding in a high-speed payment layer. And so we extend Bitcoin the same way we extend the internet with multiple layers of technology that do certain things and then do it very well. And so Lightning Network can handle millions of transactions and beyond. It is a peer-to-peer, point-to-point system where you can send micro amounts of Bitcoin and soon to be other assets across it backed by the Bitcoin as a marker, and it can scale effectively infinitely. Now, why is this important? Because there's actually protocols built into the internet waiting for a payment layer, an open payment network. So we've all seen payment required for page not found. There is response codes in there for payment required that nothing has been able to take advantage of because there's been nothing actual that can actually run at the level of the internet.
This episode of the Bitcoin Economy is brought to you in part by Ledn.
Need cash but don't want to sell your Bitcoin? Ledn is the global leader in Bitcoin-backed loans, issuing over 9 billion loans since 2018. And they were the first to offer proof of reserves.
With Ledn, you get custody loans, no credit checks, no monthly payments, and more. Visit ledn.io for more information. Welcome back to the Bitcoin Economy, day 2 here in Hong Kong. You guys hear the clapping in the background. That's CZ on stage. But I'm here with Shone Anstey from LQWD, one of the treasury companies based out in Canada. But you guys got a lot more. You guys are really the first Lightning network in there. So
we are an operating company. Thank you very much for having me here, Avi. We are a Bitcoin treasury company, but we are an operating company, and we have been from day one. So we work in the Bitcoin Lightning Network space. So we run nodes all over the world to help route transactions, and we get paid and fees in Bitcoin. But that's why we started buying Bitcoin early on, because it is a requirement to have Bitcoin in order to actually run channels on the network. So you can't be a Lightning Network operator without it. So we started as a treasury company from day one. Yeah. It's in our prospectus. We just the next thing you know, there's other treasury companies. So we changed our messaging a little bit to say, hey, we come by it honestly. We buy Bitcoin, we deploy Bitcoin, and we earn Bitcoin. That's what we do. So I love it.
Can you talk to some of the folks that are listeners of our podcast are coming new to Bitcoin, right? So can you give a quick overview of what the Lightning Network is, how that differentiates from Bitcoin, and why you think there's value in the ecosystem?
Sure. So Bitcoin is layer 2 to Bitcoin's layer 1. So Bitcoin, it's very secure, runs around the world. If you want to send $10 million across it, it's amazing. You can do it peer-to-peer. It's an amazing technology. It really extends the capabilities of the internet itself. When I talk to people about what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is, it's payments, it's money. What it actually also is trust. It solved the trust protocol issue for the internet and is an extension of the very plumbing of the internet. Money and finance is its first use case and goes beyond. And when you start to think about it like that, you can start to understand why it has so much value. And so we look at this perspective. Back in 1999, the internet was worth $200 billion. That's what they estimated, right? $200 billion. This is the original 7 layers of technology. Layer 1, that's the Wi-Fi. Layer 7, those are the websites. Came together over time. Bitcoin extends that very plumbing with the 8th layer of trust. So now we understand that Bitcoin is an extension of the very internet. What's the internet worth today? 2010 was worth $20 trillion. What's it worth today? An unfathomable number. The society runs on it. Bitcoin extends that very plumbing for the digital age. It changes trust and money in the digital age for the hundreds of years to come. This is it. And so when you look at that perspective, you're like, well, let me get this straight. The trust protocol of the internet, which is going to change finance and money globally for everyone for hundreds of years at digital age, it's only have a $2.7 trillion market cap. Well, the internet's worth an unfathomable number. So when you look at it from that perspective, that's why when I got into it in 2011, 2012, I understood it because I came from the internet technology sector from mid-90s on. So I came in honestly. My understanding of the money aspect of it came after that because it went down that rabbit hole. But of course, we're going to have a native payment layer for the internet, the most common thing. But back to your original question of Lightning Network. Lightning Network extends Bitcoin's capability by adding in a high-speed payment layer. And so we extend Bitcoin the same way we extend the internet with multiple layers of technology that do certain things and then do it very well. And so Lightning Network can handle millions of transactions and beyond. It is a peer-to-peer, point-to-point system where you can send micro amounts of Bitcoin and soon to be other assets across it backed by the Bitcoin as a marker, and it can scale effectively infinitely. Now, why is this important? Because there's actually protocols built into the internet waiting for a payment layer, an open payment network. So we've all seen payment required for page not found. There is response codes in there for payment required that nothing has been able to take advantage of because there's been nothing actual that can actually run at the level of the internet.
What if you could lower your tax bill and stack Bitcoin at the same time? Well, now you can with Blockware. New tax guidelines from the Big Beautiful Bill will allow American miners to write off 100% of the cost of their mining hardware for a single tax year. That's right, 100%. Blockware's mining as a service allows you to do everything from securing the miners to sourcing low cost power to configuring the mining pool. They do it all. You get to stack Bitcoin at a discount every single day while also saving for the upcoming tax season. Get started today by going to mining.blockwaresolutions.com/TBE. Again, that's mining.blockwaresolutions.com/TBE. Now back to the interview.
Yeah. And so now you have an open network that anyone can use. It's backed by the hardest digital asset ever. It's solved for trust, scales infinitely. It doesn't care who you are, what you are. It is morally agnostic. A morally agnostic trust protocol powering the payment layer of the internet. And now it's here. And so when you start to understand this is going to be the global payment layer that anyone will use and all companies will gravitate towards at some point in time, you can start to see where it's going to go. Now, how it works, to get back to the original point, is it consists of nodes and channels. A node is just a server or a computer somewhere in the world running the open source Lightning Network software. Anybody can do this. You must have Bitcoin on it to establish payment channels with other node operators. And you have thousands of nodes and thousands of channels. Works very similar to the internet. And when a payment is sent across, it may go direct or it may go through multiple hops. Very similar to how internet traffic, when you go to google.com, may pass from AT&T to Verizon, etc., get to Google service, come back to you. Similar kind of concept because it is an extension of the internet. And this is why it's so powerful.
I'm sharing this interview with my parents because I've given thousands of interviews probably in my life, and this is like one of the most concise, logical ways to explain, how this whole thing's working. So thank you for that. The other questions, Bitcoin treasury companies have been like one of the hottest things probably in the space recently. Sure. Strategy being one of the biggest. Metaplanet's a huge sponsor here. You guys are coming out of Canada. How'd you think to say, hey, let's take this operating company, let's start accumulating Bitcoin? And I like the operating companies that have revenue coming in besides just the Bitcoin, because there's, we've heard of coffee shops that are now buying Bitcoin, considering themselves Bitcoin treasury companies. And curious to you, what was that inflection point where you're like, hey, let's start doing this? And then I also want you to touch on how you guys are getting some yield on top of that, which is really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So we came by, Bitcoin, honestly. I've been in the space a long time, as mentioned. And I've had success in the public markets in Canada. The other public company owns Canada's only publicly traded exchange. And we've done some other things in the space. So we're keeping a close eye on Lightning technology from 2015 on, and seeing that around 2019, we wanted to start building out on it. And so we did that privately for a while and then leveraged the success that I had in the public markets and being able to talk to bankers and others to go public in the junior markets there, raise capital to buy a lot more Bitcoin and use the public structure as a way to create additional trust with auditors and with all that kind of stuff. So we came by the treasury aspect of it, very direct and very honest, because in order to be a Lightning Network operator, you must have Bitcoin to operate. Right. And so we got as much as we could. We survived the bear market after FTX and all that stuff went down. It was very difficult, but we ground it out, kept building, and now here we are. We just added another bunch of Bitcoin. We have 238 Bitcoin on our balance sheet. LQWD on the stock exchange on the Toronto, and LQWDF on the OTCQX for those who are interested. And we have no debt. We've decided to take on no debt. We don't need it. And we focus everything on building out our Lightning Network business.
And you guys have no debt, which is very rare in this space right now. You see a lot of these folks doing the ATMs. Do you guys have any plans in the future? Will you guys be open-minded to do that? Or you guys have the capability to raise extra if you need?
We have the capability to raise. Actually, we just closed $12.3 million with Polar and then through Maxim. And that's all, of course, all publicly disclosed. We do have an ATM in place or up to 10 million. And we have a short-form prospective offering. So we could do another 40 million of other financings in the market. We're not looking at debt financing. We have a number of offers. We don't like the terms and we simply won't take it. We think some of the companies today are taking terms that don't make sense. If there's ever a blip in the Bitcoin, and if you've been in Bitcoin long enough, the growth of new technologies can be violent and there can be volatility. And it may be smoothed out with the ETFs and stuff, but we just don't think it's healthy for our company, and we're going to focus on what we do to build.
Yeah, I like that. And then just coming to this conference now, I don't know if you've been to a lot of these conferences. What are your takeaways? Anything new that some of the speakers are talking about that have surprised you? And where do you see the next 6-12 months of this space going?
Yeah, I think we're going up and to the right and continue to build out. But I have seen in this conference here, the narrative has changed a little bit. I've seen more people talk about taking on careful debt and careful structures more than we saw over the last few months. And we were out there saying that for our own company, and people were giving it to us. online, and if we're wanting us to do aggressive financings, and that may make sense for bigger companies on the NASDAQ who have the micro-strategies and then the meta plans where they can issue bonds or tapping the bond market. But for smaller junior companies, you're not going to get the terms you want necessarily, and try to get that flywheel over there. You may be carrying that debt for a long time, and it may actually do you under if the market conditions don't maintain. Of course, we don't know where that's going to go, but we'll stay focused to our own thing here. And we certainly would, did this conference here, get a chance to talk and explain how we're making some yield and how we're, buying Bitcoin, deploying Bitcoin, and earning Bitcoin. So
Yeah. No, it's been very cool to watch these treasury companies. There's a lot here, obviously, in the U.S. Metaplanet obviously gets the tax implications, is really helpful over in Japan. I'm not as familiar with Canada's policies or anything like that, but is there any tax reasons why people would maybe put money into a treasury company versus buying Bitcoin directly? Or
yeah, I mean, Canada was the first, Bitcoin ETF was out of Canada. And so there's many options to buy Bitcoin in Canada. For us, when we look at our shareholder base, we've got great shareholders. If you want to get exposure to Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, then if you buy our stock, you get the underpinning of Bitcoin for our treasury, and we have the potential upside of Lightning Network, which we think has great potential over the coming years. So we look at that from twofold. And we've recently announced it, I think the last 24 hours, we have called Project Yes, Yield in Sats. And so we deployed 20 Bitcoins, about $2 million in a special way across our network. And with the weighted APR over the last 21 days, we've had 24% yield off of that Bitcoin. And with some caution, we're going to scale that up and see how far we can take that with another, 50, 60, 100 Bitcoin, and to continue to execute on this project here and see that as the future of the company, where we're earning significant yield for providing all kinds of liquidity and using the AI and the machine learning and all the intelligence that we built and the moat we built around our company over the last number of years.
Amazing. Well, this is Avi Mash from the Bitcoin Economy in Hong Kong. Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it.
Thank you.